Hey everyone, welcome back to the Fantasy Pros Football Podcast. I'm Bobby Sylvester, joined as always by Mike Tagliere, and we're on Twitter at BobbyFantasyPro and at Mike Tagliere NFL. Tags, how's it going today, man?
It's good. I wish the weather here would be a little bit more spring-like. It's May, and it's just up and down, man. I'm just tired of the weather.
I'm ready for it. Change too. It's 80s today, lots of thunderstorms, and I don't even have time to mow my grass. Not that I really want to mow my grass, but it's been raining every single day. Guys, our guest today is Davis Mattek. You guys know him from Taekast. He works with Roto Experts on their yearly 365 package. Davis, thank you for taking time to come on the show.
Hey, always excited to be here, guys.
And you guys can follow Davis on Twitter at his name, Davis Mattek. That's Mattek. And guys, here's what we've got planned today. We are doing a mock draft podcast. So all three of us are going to be in the same 12-team league doing a mock draft. Now that we finally have, landing spots for these rookies and get to figure out where they're going to go.
Yep, yeah, that's what I think I'm looking forward to the most, is seeing where the ECR has those guys, and maybe it's a little bit behind where it's like some of us are going to have to reach for those guys, but I'm okay with that. I mean, there's definitely some positions that I'm looking forward to and seeing where I can get them.
Guys, before we jump into this, I want to talk about the sponsor of today's show, PristineAuction.com. So we did pick a winner for the Devante Adams helmet. We need to confirm that before we announce him on the show. With that said, we do have another giveaway for you guys. We're giving away a signed JuJu Smith-Schuster Steelers helmet. You can sign up for this bad boy. If you've already signed up for any of these other ones, you get signed up for this one as well. It continues for the rest of the year. And we're going to pick a winner to take home this JuJu Smith-Schuster signed helmet. You can sign up at fantasypros.com/contest. And that's thanks to pristineauction.com. They've got all kinds of great options that you can add to your cave. I saw an Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre signed NFL football. How does this happen? Like, Davis, what do you think? Who did they get to sign this first and then convince the other guy to sign it?
It was definitely Rodgers first, then Favre. 100%. There's a 0% chance that Rodgers would sign a Favre signed one, so it was definitely Brett first, then Aaron.
That's what I was thinking as well, man. But anyways, somebody can buy that thing. Like, that would be awesome for your cave. I also saw, I guess, two Packers things here. A signed Aaron Jones Chrome mini helmet. Went for $47, and this thing would be beautiful to have on your desk if you're a Packers fan, or if you just had him on your fantasy team and he really helped you out last year. Probably going to help you a lot more this year. We'll see what they do. Hopefully it's not Jamal Williams' year. I am a big fan of Aaron Jones. Anyway, Pristine Auction has some great values, and everything is guaranteed authentic from only the most trusted sources. Again, that's PRISTINE auction.com. And so, guys, we're in the draft room right now. I'm going to hit Start Draft. And we don't have the multi-user draft ready to roll out to the public yet, but we're going to be showcasing it today. And if you want to do a mock draft, you can follow right along doing one with us by going to the main page at fantasypros.com. Scroll over Draft Wizard right there at the top right of your screen and go under NFL, click Draft Simulator. You can customize it to your league however you want, whether it's 2 quarterback, 5 running back, dynasty, rookie only, however you want to do it. Now, as for this draft, this is our multi-user draft that we have set up. So all three of us are going to be in it. It's going to take, the draft starts here in about 30 seconds, and we are finding out right now who got what pick. I got the 1-1, baby. This never happens. I never get lucky.
The 1-1. It just so happens that Bobby started it, and he gets the 1-1.
That's
what a
right.
bunch of crap. Okay, so I landed the 102 pick, which I'm not mad about. Definitely not mad about at all. And a player that I've considered taking at number 1 just because I feel like he might be the safest. His offense is going to be better than Saquon Barkley's, and that's Ezekiel Elliott. Workhorse. If he's healthy, he's finishing as a top 3 running back, and there's really no doubt in my mind about that. So that's an easy pick for me.
All right, so it is to 110, and Davis, you are on the clock. You've got 90 seconds to pick.
So I'm at 110. This is a pretty easy selection for me. How I have them ranked, I will be taking David Johnson at the 110 over Le'Veon Bell and James Conner. I have some offensive efficiency concerns for Le'Veon Bell, and I have some volume concerns for James Conner. So not a particularly difficult selection for me here.
I think David Johnson's the right pick, and I don't think most people would do that. By the way, Tags, I was completely trolling you. I changed the team name to the first pick to Bobby Sylvester, and I actually have the 12th pick, so I'm on the clock now.
Oh, geez, here we go.
All right, so Tags knows I'm on a winning streak right now, and he needs to try really hard to beat me, so I was just trying to make him feel bad about me having the first pick.
Get out of here.
I've got number 12 right now, and I'd love to get a running back here at the turn. I'm definitely going Travis Kelce, and then let me see what my other options are here. James Conner's available, Joe Mixon, Nick Chubb. Dalvin Cook, Leonard Fournette. I'm probably going to go Dalvin Cook. You guys know me, but I would imagine there's going to be 2 quality running backs available to me next round as well. And if I could get Julio Jones or Michael Thomas, I think I've got to do it because there's a big drop-off right after David Johnson in my mind. And Tags, do you agree with me? Do you think that, after Todd Gurley, maybe not Todd Gurley anymore, but Melvin Gordon, Alvin Kamara, McCaffrey, Elliott Barkley, and David Johnson, that there's a pretty sizable drop-off, or do you think there's not much of a difference since they're all going to get a bunch of touches?
Someone's going to disappoint from that group, even though we think that they're all sure things. Like, someone's always going to disappoint. I tend to think it's the guys that are part of like not so great offenses. Now, David Johnson, I didn't like him last year. A lot of people popped him up as the number 1 pick or number 3 pick, whatever. I wasn't taking him in the top 6 just because I felt like he was in a bad situation. This year, they didn't address the offensive line, which is concerning. But being with the new offense, adding Kyler Murray to it, adding the some wide receivers to take some attention away from David Johnson, I feel like he's a solid safe pick there. James Conner, I'm curious to hear Davis's thoughts on him because he was saying that he's got some volume concerns. And is that due to the draft pick of Benny Snell? Is it, the whispers that they might go towards more of a timeshare approach? What are you feeling on this? I drafting Benny Snell in the 4th round was early for me.
Yeah, it's a combination of drafting Benny Snell, who actually athletically is pretty similar to James Conner. Both of them were they were pretty average athletes. Like, neither of them are fast, neither of them are quick. They're both just sort of plotting, 4.2 yards per carry type of runners. Though I would say Conner is the better pass catcher out of the two of them and was used more that way in college. But also, Jalen Samuels is still there. I certainly could see Samuels getting some H-back work, being used on 3rd downs a little bit more. Le'Veon Bell and his time in Pittsburgh, the reason why Le'Veon Bell was so valuable for fantasy was that he had a big role near the red zone, was used as their primary pass catching back, and was just sort of always on the field. And the same was true for Conner. And if Conner loses, if Conner goes down to 50% of the team's carries and 11% of the team's targets, it's enough for me to think that he's more of a 2nd round pick than a 1st round pick.
I agree with that. And it is the 2nd round right now, but I'm passing up on him for Julio Jones. I'm really surprised he's there in the 2nd round. Do you guys think I really screwed up here taking Travis Kelce at 12 and Julio Jones at 13?
It's really tough for me to go tight end and wide receiver with those first 2 picks just because I think it's going to put you in a big hole at running back.
We'll see. That's why we do these mock drafts, man. We're going to figure out if this strategy works.
No, for sure. I mean, Kelce, it's hard to fault you. It's not that I don't like Kelce or Julio. I think they're both fantastic picks, but I just think it's going to put you in a really, really bad spot at running back. Yeah. Unless, maybe Leonard Fournette falls to the back end of the 3rd round.
You guys aren't going to let that happen, though.
It's possible.
Yeah, I would have taken Dalvin Cook here if I was going to go running back, and he went right after me at 2-2. So that leaves James Conner still on the board for Davis. Are you going to pull the trigger, or do you have someone else in mind?
No, I'm going with my wide receiver 1 for the year in JuJu Smith-Schuster. Being able to get him in the 2nd round is just, I didn't even have to think about that pick.
That is fair. And, man, this is so tough. Now, it comes back to me, and this is a weird spot in the draft. I felt like some other players would fall to me. But Kittle went off the board. Joe Mixon went off the board. Obviously, Michael Thomas is gone. I was hoping Nick Chubb would fall back, but again, he's gone too. So the best running back on my board right now is Leonard Fournette. You have Marlon Mack sitting there who's relatively close. But those guys, I feel like I could probably get them with my next pick and let the turn go. So I'm looking at Mike Evans and A.J. Green as my top choices here at wide receiver. And I feel like
Antonio Brown, by the way, went at 210.
Yeah, that's about right for him. I would say that's fair. He definitely shouldn't be going before Mike Thomas. That's for sure. So Michael Thomas went off at 2.6, AB at 2.10. So it feels right. Mike Evans, I feel like Chris Godwin's going to take a step up this year. The offense is going to change. Sure. Are they going to involve O.J. Howard more often? Like Mike Evans, is his ceiling as high as it's been in years past? I don't think so. A.J. Green, I don't know why people are forgetting about this guy. Like, what did A.J. Green do to the dynasty community that has him like outside the top 4 rounds? Like, I know he's like 30 years old. So is Julio Jones. A.J. Green, when healthy, when on the field, the guy produces, and he's in a lot more friendly of an offense right now with a new head coach. I feel like people are overvaluing Tyler Boyd. I feel like they're undervaluing A.J. Green, who is a legitimate like top 5 wide receiver in the NFL. So yeah.
His pace last year was 1,200 yards, 11 touchdowns if he had played the full season. That's pretty dang good.
Yeah, it definitely is. And instead of going with so I took A.J. Green and then Sony Michel, Tyreek Hill went after that.
But where do you think Tyreek Hill is going to end up this year? Because, I would hope we would get more information by then, but I can't imagine anyone actually takes him in the 3rd round, right?
I will not draft him right now.
Maybe there's someone who is optimistic about his situation, but I'm not interested in drafting him whatsoever. Beyond what he did, we have to give analysis about fantasy football. I just don't think he's going to play.
Yeah, I think it's very unlikely that he's with the Chiefs or in the NFL altogether. I don't know. It's a bad situation, but as of right now, if you're having like a startup dynasty draft, I'm waiting until the double-digit rounds minimum. Like I can't take him in the top 10 rounds. Really, I just can't.
Wow. Okay.
But this pick comes down to, Marlon Mack and Leonard Fournette are still there, but then Mike Evans is still there on the board, and this is a decision I have to make. I know that those running backs aren't going to get back to me, and that's fine, I think. Fournette is very tempting because I actually believe that he's a value right now, but Mike Evans is a target monster, and I know I'm going to hate myself if I don't take wide receivers because I'm going to be staring at someone I don't know, Tyler Boyd or Mike Williams, which I'm not totally against, but I don't want to be stuck at wide receiver. I feel like I could find a running back to fill my other starting slot.
All right,
so I'm going to take Mike
back
Evans.
To Davis, and so Tags, you've got Ezekiel Elliott, AJ Green, and Mike Evans. You are team 2 for those who are watching on YouTube. By the way, it's youtube.com/fantasypros if you want to watch along and see Davis's great hairdo. And Davis right now is David Johnson and JuJu Smith-Schuster. Who are you picking in the 3rd round?
I will be going with Amari Cooper here. I know that that's the chalk selection, but just in general, I prefer to get wide receivers early, running back late. That's just been my general draft philosophy for a few years. I have Cooper projected pretty high in my projections. I have him, significantly ahead of all the wide receivers below him. This is where basically a new tier starts for me. I have him over both of the Minnesota guys, both of the Rams guys, over Golladay, over Allen Robinson. This is a real tier separation for me. I have zero interest in owning Leonard Fournette in any format this year.
I want him.
So I will be taking Cooper.
I was really hoping to get Amari Cooper or Leonard Fournette. Now, Fournette was taken right before me, so I shouldn't have said anything. Well, it doesn't change anything, obviously. By the way, did you guys notice Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers are already both off the board?
Well, that happens.
Yeah, so I'm going with Aaron Jones. We'll see if the Packers are really stupid this year. I don't think they will be, and I think they're going to score a lot of touchdowns, and Aaron Jones is going to be right in the middle of it. After that, you know who I'm taking, Tags. Do you have any guesses?
Well, I just want to say that Amari Cooper pick was awesome.
Yes. Is there a chance he could be the wide receiver 1 this year? He was so good, not even knowing the playbook, and now he's going to be in that offense for a full year, working with his quarterback, working with the team. He's really
I don't think
good.
Amari has 12 touchdown upside, so I can't see him as the wide receiver 1. A top 5 I could see.
Okay.
I just don't see him as the wide receiver 1, but I love the pick, and I actually would debate him over Mike Evans. It's really close for me. I just think Evans is a little bit safer.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Amari Cooper's a better football player than Devante Adams, but there's a big difference between Aaron Rodgers and, because Devante Adams was the number 1. That's why I brought it up.
Yeah. So, Bobby, are you going to take, let me see, are you going to take Devonta Freeman, or are you going to take Adam Thielen?
No, I'm taking Chris Carson, man.
Oh, Chris Carson, your boy.
You know better than that. I'm definitely taking Chris Carson. I've already got, if you're looking at my team right now, I've got Aaron Jones as my 1 running back, and Chris Carson is going to be my 2nd running back. They both have Week 11 buys. I love that Draft Wizard shows you that stuff. I don't really care. I'm just going to lose 1 game in Week 11, and by then, who knows? Maybe 1 or 2 of these guys will be trash or injured, so I don't care that much about bye weeks. I get that question all the time. And I just, if you worry about it, you're going to get lesser players. So I'm going with Chris Carson here. Davis, what do you think about Chris Carson? Tags and I are a little bit split here. He was so great at the end of the season. Are you worried about Rashad Penny, or do you think Carson is just a star and they're not going to get rid of him?
Well, I don't think Carson is a star. He's just okay. I don't have a ton of interest in him, just because I think the most likely scenario is that the Seahawks do want to get Penny some touches. They let Mike Davis walk, so I think that actually shows some vote of confidence in the fact that they will at least be able to make Rashad Penny a guy who can get on the field. The thing that would be the saving grace for Chris Carson would basically be that they're just going to run the ball so often there might be enough carries there for him and for Rashad Penny.
He was excellent down the stretch. In the last 5-6 weeks of the season, he was the top fantasy football running back. And I know that's a smaller sample size, but he was getting the job done so well at the end of the year that I think it would be hard pressed for Penny to pass him up or have a direct split of carries. So we'll see. I'm confident in him. I'm going to get a lot of shares, and I'm going to live or die with Chris Carson this year. All right, back to you, Davis, for pick 4. Who are you looking at?
So I'm pretty torn here between... Oh, actually, I'm not, because the guy I wanted to take just went. Actually, no, he didn't. No, so the two guys that I'm looking at here are Chris Godwin and Mark Ingram. That would generally be a decision that I'm faced with a lot of the time in the 4th round. And I think due to the nature of this team, I'm already aiming for the ceiling with this team, and I got a running back that I feel really good about in David Johnson. You're never benching that guy. You're never playing the matchups with that guy. So yeah. I am going to take Chris Godwin here with the 39th overall pick.
Davis, ooh. I love that you are a Chris Godwin believer. You're a bigger believer than me, and that's really saying a lot. I wouldn't quite take him in the 4th round, but you know what? If he returns 2nd round value, I wouldn't be surprised at all. He's a great football player.
I'm just really high on that offense overall.
Yeah.
They finished 3rd in adjusted yards per attempt last year with the Fitzpatrick-Jameis platoon. They've lost Deshaun Jackson from that offense, and they brought in an offensive coordinator. Yeah, and Adam Humphries. So there's extra volume available there. I think that I have on rotoexperts.com and our team level projections, I have Godwin, I think, for 138 targets, which is actually what Mike Evans got last year. And I have Evans, obviously, for way more targets than that. But I think the biggest thing going in Godwin's favor is Bruce Arians is even more of a proponent of the vertical passing offense than last year's coaching staff was.
Yeah, Chris Godwin is, I think a lot of people are going to sleep on him. Like, he's rised a lot in the rankings this year because obviously all those guys are gone and Godwin's going to see more targets, but I don't think they realize just how good he was with those targets last year. Tags, who are you taking here in the 4th and then 5th round?
Yeah, I like Godwin. I just don't. I couldn't take him over someone like Adam Thielen, just because like it's similar things, right? Where it's like it's possible that Stephon Diggs potentially becomes the number 1 guy, but we know who Thielen is. We know exactly who he is. Godwin has never really played a full-time role, and it's not to say that he can't. I do like Godwin. I just feel like that a guy like Adam Thielen is a little bit more of a sure thing right now.
I like Diggs over Thielen, but yeah, I would have probably taken Thielen there too, and not felt too great about it, and hoped Godwin would have dropped me in the 5th round, but apparently he would not have.
Oh, I was hoping. I was so torn. That came down to me, and I didn't realize it was like counting down the clock.
Man.
No, it's all right. So I ended up taking Kerryon Johnson. I debated Kenny Galladay, but
and then
I
he was
have
taken
AJ
right
Green,
after
Mike
you.
Evans,
and Corey Davis.
Yeah, that was a bit of a rushed pick, but Kerryon Johnson is my RB2. I'm not happy about it, but I'm not like totally miffed about it. So looking at wide receivers, going back to that position, because the running backs on the board, Phillip Lindsay, Mark Ingram, Tariq Cohen, Darius Geis. Geis is questionable, but being they re-signed Adrian Peterson, given the fact that they drafted Bryce Love at the top of the 4th round, which makes no friggin' sense, I just feel like there's something that they're worried about with Darius Geis, and I can't draft him with much confidence right now.
Interesting.
So looking over to the wide receiver portion.
So you're going to leave Mark Ingram for Davis?
Probably. I mean, I have Ezekiel Elliott and Kerryon Johnson. I can fill another flex. I know some running backs down there that I can get that I'll be happy with.
Unless I take him.
But so Cooper Kupp coming off the ACL, I mean, everybody knows me. I'm not really as much worried about ACL injuries as everybody else is. I think that modern medicine has come so far that I don't really worry about them all that much. Cooper Kupp isn't someone that's necessarily he hasn't never relied on a bunch of agility. Allen Robinson, I think the Bears offense is going to spread the ball around a ton. Alshon Jeffrey is now competing with Arcega-Whiteside, and I think Jeffrey wins that, but still, I'm going to take Cooper Kupp just because I feel like he's the safest pick here as my wide receiver 3. He's consistent production, and this is a half PPR mock draft, so it's... Again, I don't really love this turn of picks for me. Kerryon Johnson and Cooper Kupp is a 4 or 5
It's not
picks.
Sexy, but, you got to take value where there's value.
That's exactly how I feel about it. It's not sexy, but it's okay.
All right, Davis, back to you for pick number 5.
This one's easy. I will be taking Phillip Lindsay here in the 5th round, even if Royce Freeman cuts into, even if they're in a 50-50 split, 40-60, Phillip Lindsay's going to return pretty good value, and I think most weeks you'll feel pretty comfortable starting him, especially if Lindsay just takes over all of that passing down work that Devontae Booker had last year.
Guys, I do not love picking at the turn usually with the 12th and 13th pick in the draft. But I'll tell you what, right now it's looking pretty good because Sammy Watkins is still on the board. If Tyreek Hill's gone, obviously Watkins is going to be the primary pass catcher there. And, he's not as great as we initially had hoped he would be, but with Patrick Mahomes, that covers a lot of issues. So I'm going to grab Sammy Watkins here, and then I'm looking right now to see if I want my third wide receiver, which would likely be Mike Williams. Maybe I would reach for Dante Pettis, although I'm not as excited now that they got Deebo Samuel. And I'm also looking at Tariq Cohen. Who would you go with, Tags, if you were pressed here?
I'm not going to tell you to draft, but I will say that.
Well, I was hoping you would tell me so I could go with the opposite.
I will say that the Sammy Watkins pick was a good one. Like, if Sammy Watkins stays healthy, he's finishing as a top 20 wide receiver. I think that's like
top
a
20.
lock
if he
right now.
stays healthy, he's finishing top 12. With Patrick Mahomes, do you think Patrick Mahomes is going to just toss out like 20 touchdowns this year, 4,000 yards?
No, Travis Kelce's still there. Mecole Hardman apparently is being compared to Tyreek Hill for whatever reason.
Oh, come on. Give me a break with that.
It's not me. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, who are you going with?
I don't know, man. Davis, who would you go with? Actually, it's your pick next. You don't want to tell me.
He's like, you should take. Okay. You should totally take.
You should take Deshaun Watson here.
I'm going to go with Mike Williams. I just, you know what? I already have. Yeah, let's do it. I hate the bye week stuff so much. I'm going 3 by week 12 guys. We're just going to lose week 11 and week 12 and dominate every other week. So
it really is. That's the best way to do. I mean, ideally, I don't pay attention. I don't pay attention to bye weeks at all unless it's best ball, just because like there's obvious reasons you have to.
Sure.
But outside of that, and ideally, but if it falls that way, if you have all your players on one bye week, take the lost 1 week and have them all done with.
This is half PPR, by the way. And if it was full PPR, I would definitely go with Cohen. I doubt he would be there. But Williams, I don't think he's going to get a ton of receptions. They've got Keenan Allen, who wears jorts, by the way. They've got Keenan Allen there, who's going to get a lot of targets, and Hunter Henry, of course. But Williams in the red zone.
Losing Tyrell Williams, man, that's
fantastic.
Pretty big. Yeah, Mike Williams could see I actually could see him with 110 targets.
You could see him with 110 targets?
I can.
I
really can. Like I said, Tyrell Williams is not very good at football, and I stand by that. And to know that he wasn't getting massive targets.
Apparently thinks so.
What's that?
Mayock apparently thinks so.
Yeah. I got nothing to say about that.
All right, Baker Mayfield is off the board, so you can't take him, Davis. Which way are you going?
I definitely would have taken Mike Williams there.
Oh, you would have? Sorry.
Yeah,
dude.
that was definitely who I wanted. I'm pretty big.
We can
on
trade,
Mike Williams.
man. You can give me Chris Godwin.
I don't like him that much, but I do have Mike Williams higher than expert consensus in my rankings, because if you get down to the work of projecting out the Chargers offense, it's pretty hard to find a way where he doesn't see 18 to 20% of that team's targets, unless you're really projecting Hunter Henry for a lot of targets, which I think is sort of hard to do. So I'm gonna go here with another player that I think health provided probably has some league winning upside, and that is Will Fuller. When Will Fuller is on the field for the Houston Texans, he's basically one of the best per play. He's really, really one of the most efficient per play players in the NFL. And, I continue to believe in him as a player. It really just comes down to health with him.
How is Tariq Cohen still on the board?
That's an excellent question, but it makes for an easy decision.
Honestly,
if David Montgomery didn't go, I was going to take him here. He was still on the board, and but he went at 6'5", and Tariq Cohen's here. I've said that people taking Tariq Cohen in 4th round are going to be upset with that, but taking him in the late 6th,
who's taking him in the 4th round?
Yeah, no, Tariq Cohen, welcome aboard. That's an easy pick for
me. You missed out on the tight ends. You could have got O.J. Howard there. You just missed on Hunter Henry. Now you've got to have some absolute turd at tight end like Chris Herndon.
Not really. I'm going to actually, this is thank you for segueing this, Bobby, because Evan Ingram is on the board, and Evan Ingram, if you realize, when he did a majority of his damage was when Odell Beckham was out of the lineup, and
he was also the least efficient receiver in the entire NFL, so I don't think they're going to give him that many targets again.
Sterling, they don't have a choice. Sterling Shepard is not a perimeter wide receiver. Golden Tate is slot only at this point in his career.
Haven't you seen the highlights of who was the guy they even drafted? Haven't you seen the highlights of Daniel Jones? It's just checkdowns, man.
Yeah, and that's Evan Ingram's territory. Evan Ingram, that's the thing, is I was so off him last year.
He's the 4th best wide receiver in Eli Manning's offense. I will fight you on this until the death.
Well, I mean, it's fine. As the sixth tight end off the board, I was down. I legitimately told people, do not draft Evan Ingram last year. I didn't have him as a top 10 tight end. I did not like him at all. And this year, I'm telling you the exact opposite. I believe that he's going to be one of the more consistent tight ends in the league.
Davis, you get to break the tie. And I know you have a big take on this because you have a big take on everything. So who wins this argument?
I think Tags does. Ingram, man. I have Ingram projected for a 16% target share in that offense, and so even in an inefficient offense, the tight end position is quite bad. So getting someone who pretty much every week, like even if you project him 4 for 50 every week, that probably beats the tight end median score every week.
You're right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're definitely right. And we'll see what Draft Wizard says at the end. I think that I'm right, and Draft Wizard will agree with me. Davis, you've got a pick, and then I've got 2 in a row.
All right, I am taking Latavius Murray here to fill out my bench.
Jerk!
Yeah, that again
Not
is
nice.
Another pretty easy decision. Just when you historically look at what the Thunder and Lightning combo has been with Drew Brees, and the Saints they've been more run heavy each of the last 3 years, and they paid Latavius Murray like actual guaranteed money. You can argue about the intelligence of paying Latavius Murray guaranteed money, but they definitely plan on using him for at least 1 year.
What a good pick, man. I'm super jealous. I love that pick. I like that you have Chris Godwin. It was a little bit early for me, but I like your team. Guys, I'm going to make my pick here in just a second. First, though, I want to talk to you about the other sponsor of today's show, Reality Sports Online. By now, most of you have probably heard of Reality Sports Online. It's a powerful fantasy sports platform where owners get to build and manage their fantasy team like an NFL general manager. But the question is, have you tried Reality Sports Online? It's time to go see what all the buzz is about in the Dynasty community. You get free agency, multi-year contracts, a rookie draft, multi-team trades, franchise tags, contract extensions, first-round rookie options, automated contract, and salary cap functionality, and much, much more. If this all sounds complicated, it's really not. The best thing about Reality Sports Online Fantasy Front Office is that it doesn't take any more time than a standard league. It just requires more strategy, and it's a lot of fun. If you think you're among the fantasy elite, it's time to use this platform to test your mettle. If you're still not sure, you can test out your general manager skills for free in a mock free agency auction. If you like what you see, use the promo code FantasyPros, all one word, to receive a 10% discount on your team or your league today. Fantasy just got real at realitysportsonline.com. All right, just in time, and I get to pick Dante Pettis. That was a really close call, but I made it just in time. So Dante Pettis is on my team, and now let's see who I want with my next pick. I like Kiki QT. Probably too early to take him. I've already got 4 wide receivers anyway. By the way, we're going with 1 flex, 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs in this league, just 1 quarterback. And we're actually doing a DST. We haven't done that yet in our mock drafts this year, Tags. So now I'm looking, do I want to pair Chris Carson with Rashad Penny in case Pete Carroll goes with his first-round running back? Jerick McKinnon is there. He's got a lot of upside because of Shanahan. Tevin Coleman, same deal. I don't need a tight end. Drew Brees is sitting there. I feel like he's the last quarterback that you can actually trust week to week. I'm actually going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to take Drew Brees.
Brees has been, I mean, I don't really know how to describe him. Like, just very... Like, he was really good when Mark Ingram was out for the first 4 weeks, and then after that, he returned to the 2017 version, which was basically a high-end quarterback too. So, I
don't have to stream quarterbacks. I can now focus on streaming next week's defenses, which is what I like to do. Streaming quarterbacks is good and everything like that, but when you get a quarterback who's been a top 10 quarterback for, 15 consecutive years? Yeah, I'll line him up every single week. I'm fine with that.
Where are you at on Brees, Davis?
I think I have him as my quarterback 7. I'm not really interested in taking him in weekly management leagues. I have him in some best balls paired up with Traquan and Jared Cook, but overall, not super interested in him just as like the solo guy. Yeah,
that's fair. And where are you at? Where are you at with your 8th pick now?
I'm again going off the board here. Like 0% of experts agree with this pick. But I will be taking Dede Westbrook. So last year he was one of the cheapest 100 target wide receivers that you could get. He actually lost competition with Dante Moncrief leaving town and Austin Seferian-Jenkins leaving town. So he's got very little competition for targets, an upgrade at the quarterback situation. I don't really see a way that you're losing expected value taking Dede Westbrook as your 5th wide receiver.
I like Dede Westbrook this year. I mean, I think he's going to get a lot of targets. Like Godwin, this is a little bit early for me, but you know what? Do you know how many times I've made the mistake, and I talk about this all the time, where I get too cute and I'm like, he's going to drop to the next round, and then I get sniped and I get really mad? I like that you're getting your guys. I respect that.
Man, this is a weird spot to draft for me. I don't love where the state of the board where it's at. But I'm looking at it and it's like Eric Ebron is still there. And I don't like Ebron necessarily, but to know to lock up that tight end, I'm debating it. I almost never ever draft a backup tight end, and I really don't want to, and I shouldn't. But the only reason I'm considering it, and I'm going to be transparent about
You're
this.
You're going to draft a backup tight end in the 8th round.
It's because here's the thing. The reason I'm contemplating, this is such a shallow league. It is really a shallow league in terms of what Bobby and I usually do in mock drafts. We have multiple flex spots. Yeah. We don't have a defense and all this stuff. That's why I'm even contemplating it. I am not going to do it. Instead, I am actually going to go with a starting running back that's down on the board. I'm going to go with you know what? Oh God. All right, I'm going to take Ronald Jones here because I think Ronald Jones is the starter in Tampa Bay. I'm doing that. And now it's onto my wide receiver.
I thought you were going to take LaShawn McCoy. I was going to make fun of you, man.
No, I'm not taking LaShawn McCoy. I think there's a better chance of him getting cut than him being a fantasy stud.
Okay.
And then wide receiver, let's see. So Kiki QT's there.
Don't
Anthony Miller's there.
He's mine.
Emmanuel Sanders, I don't know why people are assuming that Emmanuel Sanders and Demaryius Thomas are going to be ready to play at the start of the year. They're both wide receivers that are well over 30 years old. They're coming off Achilles injuries. That's like a big injury that robs you of explosiveness, and I just don't see it. So I'm not going to draft him. To me, it's coming down to Anthony Miller or Kiki QT. I think Miller has a chance to be a breakout superstar. I feel like he played through a lot of injuries last year. He popped a little bit. He turned into a red zone option for Mitch Trubisky. And QT is behind Fuller and DeAndre Hopkins. So while QT is a solid player, I'm going to take the upside in Anthony Miller here. I know a lot of experts won't agree with that pick, but I like it.
All right, back to you, Davis. And Kiki QT is off the board. I was holding out hope that he would still somehow be available. Guys, Myles Sanders just went off the board, and I think this is going to rise as the offseason goes on, where there's going to be a lot of hype for Myles Sanders. But I don't love the landing spot because I don't think they're going to use any 3-down back. I think it's just going to be a 3-man split backfield. Do you agree or disagree, Davis? How do you feel about Myles Sanders?
No, I have Sanders projected pretty far ahead of Jordan Howard. I think that if there was one running back in that backfield that does earn a lion's share, whether it be 45% of the backfield work or even a little bit more, I do think it's probably Sanders because we tried to see the Bears use Jordan Howard as a pass-catching running back for the first 3 weeks of the season last year, and they realized that it didn't work, and he went back to that pure grinder role.
Yeah, it makes zero sense why they traded for Jordan Howard, especially knowing if they were going to aim to get a running back early. Myles Sanders, my issue with Sanders is that, do you know how many running backs, Bobby, outside of Darren Sproles, have totaled more than 43 snaps in an Eagles uniform under Doug Peterson?
Zero.
Exactly. So while Myles Sanders, they did draft him in the second round. They did trade for Jay Ajayi, and he never hit above that mark. Yeah. So I feel like Sanders is a solid football player. I really do. I liked him more than most before the combine.
Hey, Davis, you've got 14 seconds. Just a heads up, man.
Yeah, he probably knows who he's going. Yeah. Go ahead and talk about your pick, Davis.
So I did just need another running back that I would feel comfortable slotting in to cover a bye week, and I took Nyheim Hines, who was actually third on the Colts in targets last year, did not play at all really in their playoff games against the Chiefs, and I forget who they played in round one, the Texans. He really did not play at all, which is sort of a bummer. But I basically project him out for about 80 targets and about 60 carries this year. I think he could probably score 4 or 5 touchdowns. Really, he should just be the primary third down back there.
Guys, I am not pleased with myself right now. I did that thing I was talking about where I had a player that I knew I was going to get 2 rounds later. I was going to pick Carlos Hyde right here, and he was just taken. So he's not an option right now, and I'm wondering what to do. I like Curtis Samuel a lot, but for standard redraft leagues, I don't really want to own him because he's the kind of guy where it's like, okay, do I start him this week and he's going to put up 2 points, or is he going to put up, and then I bench him and he puts up 25 points because you don't really know when he's going to break out and just have that long, 2-touchdown game. I do need a 5th wide receiver, but I'm going to wait and I'm not going to tell you guys what I'm going to do. I'm going to take Royce Freeman right now because I feel like he has a lot of upside. If Lindsey was to go down, I think Royce Freeman would be an absolute beast. He's a really good running back. He just didn't get a chance last year because Philip Lindsay was a little bit better. And then I'm going to go ahead and take Kareem Hunt. I know he's not coming back for a long time, and when he comes back, Nick Chubb is going to be there. But if he's hurt and Kareem Hunt comes back in that Cleveland offense, I think he could be a league winner. So I don't mind stashing him on my bench as, my fourth running back now. I don't have to rely on him. There's not much of a sunken cost if it doesn't work out. I think that there's a lot of upside here, and I feel good about my team to begin with, so I can take a chance like this.
I just want to be clear. I would not draft Kareem Hunt. I just don't want to hold on to a player for 6 weeks and who's behind a better running back. I think Nick Chubb's a better running back. I feel like he's already played in this offense. He understands it. Those first couple weeks in fantasy football are so important for the waiver wire, especially when you start getting into bye weeks and you're forced to hang on to a player that you don't even know if he's going to have a role, if he's just a handcuff. So to me, Kareem Hunt, if you do, it's like one of the last few rounds, and he's the type of player that you're going to hesitate to cut off your roster. So he might cost you someone on the waiver wire, like Philip Lindsay last year. Let's pretend that a running back comes onto the waiver wire, and you're like, I could take him, but then I'd have to drop Kareem Hunt to get him.
No, I'm not dropping my 10th round pick, man. I'll drop my 15th round pick. We've got 7 bench spots.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is it could come down to that though. And I where are you at on this, Davis?
Yeah, I will never take Kareem Hunt. Won't take him in best ball. Won't take him in seasonal. I don't take suspended players. I don't take injured players.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's a pretty good strategy, man. I wish I had your self-control. So who are you taking then?
Right here, I am looking at a couple different guys, but I am going to end up taking Kalen Ballage, who I think has a pretty decent chance to be the lead running back in Miami because for whatever reason, they really just don't like Kenyon Drake, and they drafted Myles Gaskin, who I think is fine overall, but the number of times that a 7th round draft pick comes in and ends up as the starter right away is less than an incumbent getting a chance.
All right, so it's back to me, and I'm using the draft board feature on the mock draft here, where basically I pulled it up, and I'm able to see that it comes around so that there's only 2 more picks after me, and it's both on the same team. It's Bobby's fake team. That team already has Russell Wilson, so they're not going to be selecting a quarterback. So I debated going with Jared Goff here, but I don't need to do that just because, again, I know I'm going to be able to get him on the way back. So pass over him. Looking at the board right now, I'm debating right now between James Washington and Deshaun Jackson. I think Deshaun Jackson is the more somewhat of a sure thing. He's going to be that field stretcher in the Eagles offense. He is going to have a big role. James Washington, does he take the year 2 leap? With Antonio Brown gone, that clears up a ton of targets. And JuJu, ideally, I think they have him play the same role. I think that they want him to stay in the slot the majority of the time, which means James Washington should stay in a somewhat similar of a role. And Dante Moncrief isn't someone that I'm necessarily worried about.
Yeah.
Man, this one's really tough. I'm going to take the upside with James Washington because I think it's possible I might be able to get Deshaun Jackson later in the draft.
I wanted him, dude. That's a bummer for me.
Yeah. And you guys already know my next pick. I'm taking Jared Goff because, Deshaun Jackson actually went before that pick. So I'll take Jared Goff, and I feel pretty good about it.
Can you believe Eric Ebron is still on the board? His ECR is 75. We're at pick 130 right now.
Whew. Yeah, that's crazy. In a 12-team league with so few, I don't even like Ebron. He should be off the board.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would probably take him, but I don't especially love him either. I mean, Jack Doyle is going to come back, and Andrew Luck spreads the ball all out to tight end, so Ebron's touchdown rate got to come down. Davis, who are you taking?
So I'm looking at getting one more running back here to sort of just shore up the backfield, have another rotational guy, a guy who has some upside to getting a starting job, and that for me is TJ Yeldon. I think he is the best pass catching running back on the Bills roster. I like tags. Think it's pretty clear that LaShawn McCoy is not going to make the team given all of their offseason moves. They added 3 running backs. Generally, you don't add 3 running backs when you're happy with the backfield you have. I think Frank Gore is sort of there to be a mentor. So for me, TJ Yeldon, one of the late round running backs I've been targeting quite often.
Interesting. Yeah, I know Tags loves TJ Yeldon.
I do. I mean, I hated the landing spot, and I still don't like it, especially considering they have Gore there. They have McCoy still on the roster. They drafted Singletary. So there are some things I don't. I like the player. I wish he would have landed in a better spot, though.
All right, guys. I'm going with Marques Valdez Scantling. I've picked him every single mock draft we've done, Tags. There's a chance he breaks out as Aaron Rodgers' number 2 receiver. Maybe it's Geronimo Allison. Maybe it's Jake Kumaro. There's a lot of options there, but I want to tie myself to somebody who has a chance to be a top 40 fantasy player, and that's Marques Valdez Scantling if he becomes the number 2 in Aaron Rodgers' offense. So let's go ahead and grab him, and then I need to make my next pick. Hey, Tags, Devante Parker's there for you, man.
I see him. I'm looking at him, man. I'm debating it.
I'm trying to decide if I want to be the guy who waits and hopes that Davis doesn't take the guy that I really want, because he's going to be there. This is hard.
That's where it's difficult talking about your picks, like future picks and the ones you're thinking about, because, well, they could be taken.
Yeah, I don't really know what Freddie Kitchens is going to do. Duke Johnson wasn't really utilized when he came aboard, but we've seen Duke Johnson be really useful before. Crap.
I still think there's a chance he's traded. I don't know where.
Yeah, but if he is,
maybe
he'd
the
have to
Bucs
learn a new
trade for Duke
playbook
Johnson?
and
I don't
everything
know.
like that, and who knows how he's used. I'm just going to go ahead and reach for my guy. I'm going to take Paris Campbell right now. I think it's likely that he's the number 2 for Andrew Luck. I really liked Paris Campbell going into the draft, and then when he landed with the Colts, yeah, sign me up.
I love Paris Campbell. Solid landing spot. I
Davis,
just don't know
is
what
that a
happens
reach?
in year one.
So Paris Campbell is like a really good best ball pick to me. I think that in general, I think that he's a better fit for that format, but I don't hate him here.
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
that's a fine pick.
So are you going to snipe Tags and go with Devante Parker? Because you know he's taking Parker if he's there.
No, it's actually interesting. I do have all 3 of the Miami wide receivers as like huge values. The market doesn't understand that the Dolphins are still actually able to play football and score points. Yep. Like they're actually, there's not actually a team. When you look at it, basically every Miami player is being treated like a third stringer in terms of ADP.
Yeah.
One of those guys is going to score 150 fantasy points. Like that's just the way that things go. So I think that is pretty interesting. I actually am just going to go ahead and get quarterback out of the way here, though, and I'm going to take Ben Roethlisberger and just know that I'll never bench him for any reason. I'll have my quarterback every week, and I'll pick someone up for the bye.
Yep.
Sounds good.
Yeah, that's perfect. I mean, getting him in the 12th round, that's perfectly fine. You
He was the
can pair him with someone else.
QB3 last year, is that right?
I don't know what he finished.
He was up there.
Yeah, he definitely was. He had a lot of attempts.
Yes, he did.
But yeah, we were just talking about that, and the whole Devante Parker. It's not really a joke in terms of like where he's going to go. The thing is, I'm looking at the pick predictor, and basically I can draft someone else here and then get him in 2 picks because there's only 2 picks ahead of me. So Devante Parker is interesting because, as Davis said, these guys are playing football. There is someone that's going to have value. Devante Parker was drafted to be a number 1. He wound up in Adam Gase's doghouse, which we know what happens to players when they do that. And I think that's a real problem. He's the only one with the prototypical number 1 body. Albert Wilson can't be that guy. Kenny Stills cannot be that guy. So I think Parker is interesting because they also extended him under the new coaching staff. So it tells me they still believe in the kid. And he is still young. He had a lot of injuries. But with Ryan Fitzpatrick, who has supported a lot of wide receivers, I think that Devante Parker has a real chance to finish as a top 30 wide receiver. And you're getting him in the double-digit rounds, and it's stupid. So here is where I'm going to go. I'm actually going to take the pick Bobby debated, and I'm going to take Duke Johnson.
Okay. I thought you were going to take Devante Parker and Marques.
I am going to take Parker. I am going to take Parker because he wasn't going to be drafted in those 2 picks after me. So I'm going to take Duke Johnson with the first pick, and I'm going to take Devante Parker with my second pick because I think there's a possibility that Duke Johnson is traded. I think that's a real possibility.
Where would be a good landing spot?
Tampa Bay. And so Ronald Jones, So here's the thing: people think they have attached me to Ronald Jones. I'm not necessarily like someone that's like Ronald Jones is going to blow the doors off, but he's a starting running back in the NFL. And look at David Johnson last year, right? Could you imagine David Johnson last year posting the season he had back in 2016? No, you couldn't, because he played under a crap offense, under a bad head coach, under a bad coordinator. And now all of a sudden, Ronald Jones goes from a bad coach. Dirk Cutter is a bad head coach. His offenses have never been able to run the ball, and now all of a sudden Bruce Arians is there. Maybe Bruce Arians can help his career take off. We saw him with 30 total touches. You cannot judge somebody on 30 touches. Saquon Barkley had, I think, 6 games this season with under 3.5 yards per carry.
You're right.
It's ridiculous to say that Ronald Jones is a bust already. So to me, like what I'm saying is like, but still, it's not a guarantee. So if they trade for Duke Johnson, they're just adding another guy that they know can catch passes out of the backfield.
All right, it's to Davis in round 13.
So I think I need to take a tight end here, and I'm stuck between making the good math play or taking who I think has the ability to actually finish at like top 5 at the position.
Can you tell us who both are?
So I am going to take Christopher Herndon here, but if I was drafting with the upside, I would take Mike Gesicki. Everyone falls in love with these rookie tight ends, and then when rookie tight ends suck, everyone's surprised.
Yep.
But every rookie tight end sucks. So I actually still think that Gesicki is like pretty good equity to become a good fantasy player, but Herndon I know is locked into 80 targets.
I thought you were talking about Jordan Reed when you were talking about the guy with top 5 upside.
No, Jordan Reed. Jordan Reed left for dead.
What are you guys talking about? And Jordan Reed's on the field. He's been really, really good.
Yeah, like 5 years ago.
Yeah, he's 30 now, playing with Case Keenum and a rookie quarterback. I think that he'll probably have 3 really good games this year, and that's about it.
I don't know, Tag. You might actually be right. You know who I think has top 5 upside? When you were talking about that, I thought you were going to say Dallas Goedert. Like if Zach Ertz goes down, Dallas Goedert is immediately a top 3 tight end.
Yeah, I mean, in that offense,
but that's obviously not someone you want to draft as your tight end 1.
Right, like a handcuff at tight end. Right?
I'm on the clock. Guys, I've got 4 running backs, and that is not enough, but I'm looking right now. It's a disaster. There is nobody that I want, so I just got to hope for help.
There are a couple good guys here, I think.
Chris Carson, Royce Freeman's my number 3. This is ugly. Yeah, this was a mistake drafting 2 wide receivers at the end of the first round.
The tight end and wide receiver, yeah.
Yeah, so regardless, I'm sticking to my guns and not drafting one of these running backs. I'm going to go get Equanimeous St. Brown, another high upside guy, another week 11 bye guy. And then, I mean, Tags, you know I love David Moore. I think he's going to be the number 1 receiver in Seattle. Tyler Lockett is just I won't say he's a gimmick wide receiver, but he can't play that role where he's the possession guy and he's going across the middle of the field. That's David Moore. David Moore was really efficient in his targets last year. If Doug Baldwin actually does retire, I think that David Moore is going to get a ton of targets. You can say DK Metcalf. I say David Moore. So I'm going to go ahead and add him, another week 11 bye guy.
David Moore. I know that's your best ball guy. You have him in like every draft, right?
100% exposure.
Nice. All right, Davis, you're on the clock, and who are you looking at here?
I'm looking at a couple of different guys, really trying to determine, do you build out the running backs a little bit more? Do you take the handcuff? I could take Chase Edmonds, which I don't hate, but I actually think if I'm probably looking at upside here in these later rounds because you can just cut a guy here and it doesn't matter. So I already mentioned that I think that Jalen Samuels does have a realistic chance of being just a normal part of the Pittsburgh offense. So I'm going to take him here.
I think that's a good call. He's the running back I was looking at if he was still available. And Tags, it is to you now. And I believe you've got 2 more picks. 3 more picks.
Yeah, 3 more. So these 2, and then I'll have like one of the final picks of the draft. So when this happens, typically I'll grab some sort of defense in like the 15th, like the round before the last. So I'm not like the last one picking them because then it basically just turns into an ugly thing where you're choosing a defense that you really don't want to because there's not going to be like 8 or I should say 11 or 12 fantastic streamers in week 1. So I'll be looking at the week 1 matchups, yada, yada.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, wide receiver, I've been doing, man, my entire bench is just full of upside guys. I should probably just continue doing that because my starting lineup is very, very stable. So you know what? You talked about him and it's either Traquan Smith or DK Metcalf that I think I'm leaning towards here. And I think Metcalf comes with some upside that we just might not see. I think there's a possibility. If Doug Baldwin retires, I think it's possible that DK Metcalf leads them in targets. I don't think it's going to happen, but it's a possibility, whereas Traquan Smith is never, ever going to pass Mike Thomas. So Traquan was just so inconsistent. This is really tough. I'm just going to go with DK here just because it's like okay, in the one of the final rounds, I'll take a shot on him and see what happens in week 1 or 2. And if he's not playing a lot of snaps, getting targets, then I'll let him go. And then as for defense, I'm going to take the Vikings here. I'll take the Vikings defense. Okay. I don't like the Rams. I don't know why that the ECR has Rams over Vikings, but I'm going to take Vikings.
All right, Davis, it is to you.
So I guess that I either need to take a handcuff or my defense. I'll just go ahead. I'll just go ahead and do what Tag said. I'll tail him, and I will take the Cleveland Browns defense.
Nice, I like it. They're such a sleeper defense. Like I don't know why people are still sleeping on them. I've seen them go like literally like outside the top 8 defenses, and I think that's crazy.
I'm glad you guys left the Rams for me, and it's not that I especially love the Rams defense this year. They lost quite a few parts. What I do love is that in week 1, I plan on streaming my defenses every week, regardless of who I draft. And I guess that tells you I'm not drafting a defense early, but in week 1, they go up against the Panthers. I'm not sure Cam Newton's going to be ready, and even if he is ready, I think I want to go up against him. They don't have the greatest offensive line either. They might put up some points, but I think the Rams force some turnovers here. I'm going to go with the Los Angeles Rams, and Jamal Williams is still on the board. I don't like Jamal Williams, but with that being said, I don't know what the Packers are going to do. If there's a chance Jamal Williams starts in this Green Bay Packers offense, I want him, and I also have Aaron Jones, so it's a nice, safe play.
Yeah, that's not a bad handcuff in the final round.
I don't really do handcuffs, but I'll do a handcuff with the Packers since they've just been such fools with their running backs.
Mm-hmm. All right. And Davis, who'd you take here?
Took me about a half second to click draft on Traquan Smith, who I have. I have way higher than this, kind of breaking out this Saints passing game. Doing it from a team level down. After you project Michael Thomas, I have Thomas at like a 29% target share. You just have to look at it and be like, okay, we have a lot of other targets here. You give Kamara 15%. You have 60% of their passing game left to dole out, and if you're not giving it to Kirkwood, you got to give Traquan like a real role on this offense.
You're right. Yeah. You're right. Tags, before you make your pick, I want to say this. I know that I just destroyed you guys. Don't feel bad about your draft grades when they come in, especially Davis. You took a lot of like high upside guys, and Draft Wizard doesn't especially love that. So be prepared for a bad grade. I like your draft, though. I like your draft. Tags, I don't like your draft. Actually, I do like your draft, but I wanted to, talk a little bit of trash.
It's all good.
In fact, my fake team is probably better than your team.
I am going to do what you guys like mocked me for. I'm going to take Jordan Reed. I don't like any of the running backs on the board right now necessarily, and like the wide receivers, I'm never going to play any of these guys. I don't feel like there's anybody here left with number 1 upside, so I'm going to take Jordan Reed and be done with it.
I think that's fine, man. Oh no! What?
You guys lost.
How? How did I lose? I got dead last.
No, I didn't even see where the projected standings. I just know I see my grade, and I'm just like, oh.
Holy cow, man.
So what happened, Sylvester? You got dead last?
I got dead last. I thought for sure I was going to win. I thought for sure I was first place in the league.
Yeah, no. No. You've lost, and I won by quite the margin. Wow. So yeah, I got an A+, a 97 out of 100.
Who's your team?
Let's see. My team is Jared Goff is my starting quarterback. My running back, Ezekiel Elliott and Kerryon Johnson. Wide receivers, Mike Evans, AJ Green, Cooper Kupp. Tight end, Evan Ingram. Flex is Tariq Cohen. My defense is Minnesota. And then my bench is full of upside guys like Anthony Miller, Ronald Jones, James Washington, Jordan Reed, Duke Johnson, Devante Parker, and DK Metcalf.
My winning streak is over. It's official. All right, Davis, what is your team? It was never a
streak. If it's 1, it's not a streak.
Let's see here. I'm trying to find my team. So team 10, my starting lineup is Ben Roethlisberger, David Johnson, Phillip Lindsay, JuJu Smith-Schuster, Amari Cooper, Chris Godwin, Chris Herndon, and Will Fuller with the Cleveland Browns defense. My bench, Latavius, Dede Westbrook, Nyheim Hines, Traquan Smith, Kalen Ballage, Jalen Samuels, TJ Yeldon.
All right, guys. I went with Drew Brees as my quarterback. Running backs, I got Aaron Jones, Chris Carson. I have the worst number 1 running back. I guess that's part of the reason it dislikes my team. And I did wait on running back. It was a strategy. Did not work out. That's why we do these mock drafts. Wide receivers, I've got Julio Jones, Sammy Watkins, Mike Williams. I feel really good about that. Travis Kelce at tight end. Dante Pettis is my flex. Los Angeles Rams at defense. And then my bench here, let's go to it really quick. I've got Royce Freeman, Kareem Hunt, Marques Valdez Scantling, Equinemius St. Brown, Paris Campbell, David Moore, Jamal Williams. So you guys know I actually did beat Tags. I don't know. There must be some bug in Draft Wizard that we're going to have to work out.
Bobby, your fake team, the fake team you created beat you. How does that feel?
That's right. Yeah, and if you combine the two scores of my teams, they'd whoop you guys.
Oh man, that was fun. It was
so disappointing. I was certain I was going to win. Like usually I'm like, okay, Tags is probably going to win because he cheats, but no, this
to
time
be honest, though, I'm looking at Davis, your roster, despite you drafting Godwin where you did, I actually like your roster. Like Godwin's your wide receiver 3, behind JuJu and Cooper, and David Johnson and Phillip Lindsay is not a bad duo at starting running back. I don't like Herndon as a starting tight end. But that's the only position I really just don't like.
I mean, I think in every draft, 3 people like their starting tight end, and then two people talk themselves into Hunter Henry and OJ Howard, and then everyone else hates their tight end. So that's just sort of how the tight end position goes. I'm really not. I don't stress it too much this year. If you're not getting Kelsey for me, it's just sort of whoever.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right, Davis, this was a lot of fun. Really appreciate you taking the time to come on our show.
Hey, anytime, guys. I always love coming on.
Tags, not talking to you. Actually, you know what? Okay, no, never mind. We'll save that for the next show because I have a debate that I want to do with you, and it's a good one, and you're going to be wrong because I already know what you're going to say.
Good times. We're going to be back on Thursday, so.
That's right. Okay, yeah, we are doing 2 shows a week now, and if you haven't already, subscribe on Google Podcasts just so you don't miss out on any future shows. We're going to be doing 2 per week up until we ramp into 3 a week, 4 a week when we get into the heat of the preseason and preparing you for your drafts. I want to say thanks to the sponsors of today's show, pristineauction.com, and also you can sign up for that signed JuJu Smith-Schuster helmet at fantasypros.com/contest. And thanks also to Reality Sports Online. You can get a 10% discount by using the promo code FantasyPros, all one word, at realitysportsonline.com. For Davis Mattek and Mike Tagliere, I'm Bobby Sylvester. Thanks for listening and enjoy your football.
Thanks for tuning into the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel. Make sure to check out our featured videos as well. Also, make sure to click that red subscribe button to get notified when we post videos in the future.